So maybe you're completely new to Bitcoin and cryptocurrency. Maybe you've been around the block and want to catch a few pointers. Whatever the case, I hope you get some value out of this video, as I've tried to structure it differently than a lot of other how to buy Bitcoin guides out there. Now, while this video is going to be primarily going over Bitcoin, we're having a free webinar on Wednesday, June 20th to talk about portfolio management. The sign up link is in the description below. If you're listening to this at a later time, no worries, we'll replace the sign up link with a link to the webinar replay. Our goal is to help you become a better cryptocurrency investor because there's a lot of bad advice out there. So let's cut through the noise and focus on what you really need to know. Welcome to Ready Set Crypto. This is your brain on blockchain. So essentially every guide out there that you can read about buying Bitcoin will tell you that step one is to find a good wallet. But I think that's ridiculous and possibly detrimental to anyone getting into this space. If you're buying from an established broker like Coinbase, having a good wallet setup is not your first priority. Your first priority is to understand what you're getting yourself into, how things work, and basic fundamentals like how to do a transaction before you worry about transferring to a wallet you control. Asking people to make wallets their first priority is putting the cart before the horse, plain and simple. Another thing that people will insist that you understand is the mechanics of blockchain, know exactly how mining works, and have read Satoshi's white paper. Look, I'm all for a more informed investor, and I certainly recommend that at some point you get a basic understanding of what's going on behind the scenes, but the fact of the matter is, you don't need to know any of that to invest in Bitcoin. As a speculative investor, it's more important that you believe it's here to stay and it's going to have some impact on the world. Okay, moving on. Let's address the second thing you need to understand or know how to interpret when getting into Bitcoin. Addressing FUD, which is an acronym for fear, uncertainty, and doubt. If you plan on being any sort of active participant in this space, you'll likely read one of two headlines that comes out: Bitcoin is dead or Bitcoin's going to the moon. At the risk of this video becoming hilariously outdated in a couple of years, the current price of Bitcoin as of this video is $6,400. Some people will lament that because we went to $20,000 6 months ago, while others who've been around the block will understand that $6,400 is light years away from when they got in at $10, for example. Here's the two things that you need to understand. First, no matter what's going on with the price, people are still working hard every day to push the space forward. Second, if you're going to invest in this space, do it with a horizon of 5 years at the minimum. That might seem tough when things are bouncing around all over the place every day. But if you're not a trader, you don't care about the daily swings. You're in this for the long haul, so take that mentality and you'll be better for it. Just to quickly address one other thing, people who are claiming Bitcoin will go to zero or Bitcoin will go to 1 million are speculating on the extremes. The fact is, they have nothing to back up their claim because they don't have a crystal ball, so how would they know? This is a completely new asset class. How are they possibly aware of what will cause it to go up or down so much in price? Look, people who make claims like that are looking for attention, and they're usually not worth yours, despite how genuine they might seem. Essentially, Bitcoin is volatile. We're trying to speculate the value of something that's never existed before, but here's what you should definitely know. Limited supply, unlimited demand. Those 4 words are critical to understanding why cryptocurrencies, and Bitcoin especially, will continue to rise. This is because when people think of things that are digital, they think of them as ephemeral, not limited. But you see, that's what Bitcoin did. Bitcoin's great invention, one of them, was that it made something that was natively digital, inherently digital, and made it property. It did that by the orchestration of technologies, namely the blockchain. And the result is that something that is digital can now be limited, have counterfeit protection, and can act as property. Because it is the first piece of digital property, you can think of it as the first piece of digital real estate or digital beachfront. And when people realize that, and that there will only ever be 21 million Bitcoins, they wanted a piece of that property. Remember that every other digital asset that has existed before, by its nature, has been able to be replicated. Instead of having to sell and distribute CDs, an artist can instantly have their song in front of millions who listen digitally. The song can be copied over and over, allowing for maximum distribution. However, because the song is digital, the song can be copied, much to the chagrin of record companies. Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies are the first digital assets which cannot be copied, allowing them to act as property, and now something digital can be limited. So because they're limited, because there's an element of scarcity, you do need to worry about people who might try to take them away from you, as every transaction with Bitcoin is permanent. As I mentioned, I think it's important for you to understand the basics before you get into security and wallets, especially considering that exchanges such as Coinbase and Binance are going to have an army of security engineers trying to protect your investment. But if you have the basics down, then it is time to learn about security and wallets. The things to know about security is that first, it's a mindset. It's about constantly thinking about how someone might try to take advantage of you and staying one step ahead of them. Meanwhile, security plans are best thought about as a spectrum between convenience and protection. Keeping anything secure requires some effort and inconvenience. Good security provides a tool that makes it much easier for the authorized person to gain access than the unauthorized one. But there's always a trade-off with convenience. In that regard, it's a bit like adding more locks to your door. It makes it more secure, but it's annoying as well. If you're only storing a small amount of cryptocurrency because you want to use it for transactions or trading, then high-level security will introduce too much inconvenience. But when the value of your cryptocurrency investment is high enough, the extra security becomes worth the effort. So it's up to you to find a balance that suits you. And remember, your personal responsibility extends to deciding how much security or risk your fund deserves. When it comes to security, exchanges like Coinbase are generally the least secure places to keep your cryptocurrency and Bitcoin. While Bitcoin's blockchain hasn't been hacked, exchanges can and have been hacked. While it might seem convenient to keep your crypto on an exchange, know that you're taking a big risk in doing so. Part of the reason that's the case is that while your cryptocurrency, your Bitcoin, is on an exchange, you don't technically own it. This is because you won't have access to the private keys. You will have access to the public keys, which are used to transact Bitcoin, but there are people in the space that strongly feel if you don't own your private keys, you don't own your Bitcoin. So I've got a class on our website that goes over security in more detail, but the essential thing is to design a plan that works for you while keeping your assets safe. Okay, so a couple more things to cover. The first is that while Coinbase is what I've referred to a lot in this video, there's actually a ton of different options out there for turning your fiat into Bitcoin. I like pointing people to buybitcoinworldwide.com, as Coinbase might not be available in your country. The second thing to note is that Bitcoin transactions are not fully anonymous. They're referred to as pseudo-anonymous, meaning someone could easily trace back the transaction record to your public address, as Bitcoin is a public ledger. Now, you could somewhat circumvent this by buying Bitcoin with cash using a site like localbitcoins.com, but you're going to pay a premium for doing so. And if anonymity is your goal, there's much better coins for that purpose. And that brings me to my last point. Bitcoin has held a supermajority of the cryptocurrency market for almost as long as it's been around. But in the last 2 years, a lot has changed. Altcoins, or really just other cryptocurrencies, have started to take the stage in force. Ethereum, Ripple, IOTA, Monero, these are all examples of other cryptocurrencies that serve other purposes beyond simple transaction of value. Other coins like Litecoin and Nano even do what Bitcoin does much faster and with less fees. So people are often quick to make the conclusion that Bitcoin is outdated and lacks relevance today. Now, that's a whole religious debate, and I'm not going to get into that here. But the point to highlight is that Bitcoin is ubiquitous, more so than any other coin. It has first mover advantage, it has name recognition, and it's easily one of the largest coins by hashing power. Yes, it's becoming accepted that in time, the challengers will overtake Bitcoin's #1 position, and maybe in the far-flung future, Bitcoin will recede into obscurity, but in the near future, Bitcoin is king. And that's it for this video. Thank you so much for watching, and please consider subscribing if you haven't done so already in order to continue to see high-quality cryptocurrency analysis and advice. Don't forget to hit the bell right next to the subscribe button in order to be notified when we put out a new video. Also be sure to watch some of our other videos and visit our website, where we've got more free cryptocurrency education, a free intro course, a free book, and a free newsletter, so definitely check us out. Thanks again for watching. This has been Ready Set Crypto, and I'll catch you in the next one. Cheers.